Hello everyone, welcome to Licensing Basics Academy. Today we're going to be discussing product licensing success, how to start a product licensing business. Let's get started. What is a product license? A product license is an arrangement whereby a licensor grants the rights of a product or idea to another entity for a specific period, and in return the licensor receives a royalty fee from the licensee. Licensing business. Setting up a business entity with the sole purpose of earning an income through royalties by licensing products. That's what a licensing business is. This can be done by licensing your own products or other people's products as a licensing agent. So what is a licensing agent? A licensing agent is a person that helps other people get their products and ideas licensed and therefore shares in the royalty profits. So, do you know anyone with ideas? If you know people with ideas, then you could potentially be a licensing agent. Help them get a licensing deal. Licensing agents earn between 35% and 50% of royalty profits for a successful licensing deal. So the first step to any business is coming up with a business name. So here's some of the key factors in creating a great business name. So obviously you want a name that's easy to remember, easy to spell, sounds good when it's said aloud, not a tongue twister, not too long, has meaning in relation to the business, is trademarkable. To find out if a name is trademarkable, you can check the uspto.gov, or there's a new site called Trademarkia. So check those out before settling on a name. And finally, is the domain available? So the .com or the .net or whatever it is, preferably the .com. Domain name. So that comes to, when it comes to domain names, as I stated before, .com is always the best option. It's becoming more and more prevalent that .coms are pretty much taken for almost every name possible, so it might not be an option, but if it is, obviously get the .com. The best name to have as a domain is keywords that describe your company. It doesn't have to be your specific company name, although that is beneficial. It could be keywords that pertain to your company. Try to stay away from hyphens between the words and misspelling alternatives. Obviously, there are websites out there that are very successful that are like this, but if you can, try to stay away from them. If you have to, then it's not the end of the world. And obviously, keep it short and sweet. The example I have here, the #1 product development company in the whole wide world.com is pretty long for someone to be able to type in and remember. So keep it short, shorter the better. And obviously easy to remember, so if you tell someone what your domain name is, they can remember it, and when they get a chance they can go and check it out. So theproductdesigner.com would be obviously a perfect domain name. What is a business entity and why do I need one? So here's the legal definition. A business entity is an organization created by one or more natural persons to carry on a trade or business. An entity is a separate existence from the owner for the purpose of taxes and legal protection. So that's the legal definition. So let's talk about what types of entities are there. So first off, there's a sole proprietorship. That's just you starting a business. Second is limited liability companies, better known as LLCs. There's also general partnerships, limited liability partnerships, LLPs, limited liability limited partnership, LLLP, and corporations. And there's S corporations, C corporations. There's all sorts of different corporations. Now, I'm not going to discuss the exact one for you. You'd have to talk to a tax attorney or a CPA to discuss those options that will best fit your needs. But a couple of the things to discuss, when the two most popular would be sole proprietorship and limited liability company. So when you're talking about the comparison of the two, limited liability is one of the main advantages of an LLC over a sole proprietor. Sole proprietorships generally are less costly compared to LLCs. However, LLCs are not very expensive in most states. LLCs need to register with the state and pay initial registration and filing fees. LLCs often have annual fees which must be paid to maintain the registration. Certain states you don't have the annual fees, like Arizona. I don't have an LLC, a maintenance fee. LLCs are subject to state laws governing LLCs. When running LLC, you must keep both LLC records and funds separate from your own personal records and funds. If you operate your business as a sole proprietor, you'll be taxed as a self-employed person, and LLC can be taxed as a sole proprietor, a partnership, or a corporation. So there's more options if you have an LLC. So liability. So as I stated before, having a entity, a LLC, a corporation, something other than a sole proprietorship, is the main advantage is liability. You don't want to have a product malfunction or some issue with your product that causes someone to be able to sue you directly. So basically that's what this is. Would you rather lose your home, cars, and personal assets, or your entity? So if you have a business as a sole proprietor, there is much more at stake as far as liability goes. So there's strategies to your LLC. A standalone LLC versus a parent LLC. So on the left, we show a standalone LLC, and the light bulbs represent products that you have licensed. So you may have 4 products that you license, and you wrap them all up into one LLC. There's nothing wrong with that. Many people do it that way. And the only downside of that is if you have an issue with one of those products, then the liability goes back to that main LLC that you hold all the products and the license agreements in. On the flip side, if you have a parent LLC and you have sub LLCs, and the sub LLCs own the rights to the products, then you're limited even more. Now, this is more of an advanced thing. It's not necessary for someone starting out. Someone would be completely fine with one LLC. But down the road, if you are doing this as a profession and you start licensing multiple products, this is something to keep in mind. How to form an LLC. Contact your state corporation commission for details on forming an LLC in your state. Each state has its own process. So that's recommended. Go to the corporation commission for your state and see what the process is to file an LLC. And many times you can file it yourself. It's not very difficult to do, and it's not very expensive. Or you can pay someone and they will file it for you. Employer identification number, the EIN. So the EIN number, the employer identification number, is a unique 9-digit number assigned by the Internal Revenue Service to business entities operating in the United States for the purpose of identification. It's like a Social Security number for your business. A business can obtain an EIN by using an electronic application on the IRS website, by mailing in the appropriate forms, or by calling the IRS directly on a phone line dedicated to assigning tax identification numbers. So once you get your LLC or whatever entity you choose, you will want to get an EIN number. This is how you're going to be able to open up a bank account and establish credit for your company. Business bank account. So setting up a business bank account is crucial to any business. Keeping funds separate That way you can write off expenses and everything can come out of the business and not get intermingled with personal funds. So setting up a business account for your business is a must. To make sure to keep your business income and expenses separate from your personal, I recommend finding a free or free with waiver account. You can find many banks that will waive the monthly fee if you keep a minimum amount of money in the account. Also, paper statements. A lot of times a bank will, if you opt for e-statements and not paper, then that's another thing that makes you have a free account. So watching for extra fees. So a lot of banks charge additional fees. So just watch those fees. It doesn't mean it's a red flag for the account, but just know what fees that you're going to have to pay. Limited transaction fees, non-sufficient fund fee, overdraft protection fee, ATM, account maintenance, paper statement, replacement of debit card, foreign transactions, cashier's checks, savings withdrawal, and wire transfer fees. So there are other fees, but these are the main ones to look for. Business expenses. So since you've started a business, you can write off expenses. Now, again, I'm not a CPA, so you'd have to talk to a certified public accountant to see what you can write off and what you can't write off. But some of the things in general that you're able to write off: car and truck expenses, salaries and wages, contract labor like freelancers, supplies, rent on business property, utilities, so for your cell phone bill, your internet, electricity, insurance, repairs, travel, advertising, home office, legal and professional fees, meals, rent on machinery and equipment. So there's just a few of the write-offs that you can do when you have a business. So how to pay for business expenses. Obviously, you're not going to use your personal account. So just a tip, you don't have to do this, but getting a business rewards credit card for expenses is a great way to do this. So type of reward cards. Cashback, reward points, hotel and travel points, retail rewards, gas points, airline miles. So all these are great ways that you're going to have business expenses anyways. So you might as well benefit when you're purchasing these. So if you get one of these reward cards, pick the one that works best for you with the desired reward that you would desire. And when you have your business expenses that you need to pay for, use that card and you'll retain the points and you'll be able to get rewards at the end of the year. So looking professional. Obviously in any business, looking professional is important. And the licensing business is no different. So look professional and people will take you seriously. So how would you look professional? Some ways you could look professional are having a company entity. Having a company LLC or corporation is going to make you look more professional. A clean logo of your company, possibly a website of your services, obviously business cards, and a dedicated phone number. These are some of the ways you could look professional in any industry. Let's talk about company logos. So a good-looking logo is the first step to looking professional. Logos can be very cheap, or you can spend a bit more money on them. I've spent anywhere from $20 to close to $1,000 on logos. And so in the past, I have spent more time and money on logos, but the older I've got and the more companies I've started, I've spent less and less and been quite happy. So if you're not gifted in graphic design, then I recommend hiring someone for this job. So you can find a freelancer designer that's able to create a great logo at a very inexpensive price. So here's some of the freelance websites that you can check out: Fiverr.com, Freelancer, Upwork, and 99 Designs. 99 Designs is pretty cool. I've never used it because I'm not too picky when it comes to logos, but if you're the type of person that wants a bunch of options, 99 Designs might be a great option for you. Basically, you pay a fee, and you have a bunch of designers fighting for your business. So they'll create the logos for you, and you basically pick the one that you like the most. And so you have a lot of different options. If you go with just a basic one-person designer, then you might only have a couple revisions. So you might only have a couple options. So if you don't like what they initially designed for you, then you're kind of out of luck. You know, you'll have to pay them more money to design more logos. So here is, I typically will use Fiverr for my logos. And in fact, to give you a little secret, on the top left there, Lillian123, she created my last logo, which was actually for Licensing Basics. So the logo that you see on the bottom right corner of the screen is the logo that she created. I paid $20 for that logo, and so it's a decent logo. So as you can see, she charges $15. I tipped her $5, so I paid $20 for that logo, and I'm quite pleased with it. That was the initial logo that she came back with. I didn't have any revisions. I did give her some ideas of what I wanted. I gave her some colors and gave her some direction on the image of how I wanted the image to look. So she did a great job of basically executing that logo for me, and I was quite pleased. So there are many designers that do logos at all different prices. So you can set the you can refine your search results. You can set it by how much you're willing to spend. You can set it by a whole different factors. So anyways, business phone number. All right. So a business phone number is good to keep your business separate from your personal. You don't want to be answering your business phone with "What's up?" or "Hey." You know, you want to be able to answer it and know when a phone call is coming from your business and when it's coming from personal. So here's a few options for you. Google Voice is a great option. It's free. I personally have a couple business phones with Google Voice. You can forward them straight to your cell phone. There's a lot of different options with Google Voice. I personally have not used Phone.com or Grasshopper, although they are reputable sites where you can get business phones. They do have monthly fees, so just keep that in consideration. But in my experience, I've been using Google Voice for now about 3 or 4 years, and I haven't had any issues. I have dedicated phone numbers, so it's worked out fine for me. Now, it's not a whole separate phone. It's basically an online, so you need to forward it to a cell phone or a landline, or send it straight to a voicemail. Email address. Having an email address that's dedicated for your business is very important. Now, obviously, having an email address that is connected with your actual domain. So on the right, you see G Suite, and you see Ryan@companyname.com. So whatever domain name for your business you have would be on there instead of companyname.com. And you could have any beginning prefix. So you could have sales at Ryan or whatever name. Having a Gmail account is also an option. It's not a bad option. You know, it's whatever. You could have your company name at gmail.com if that's available. So the availability of names is fairly limited because a lot of people have Gmail. So you might have to have something 123, or you might have to be creative when coming up with a Gmail account. So there's some options for you. Website design. So having a company website is not a necessity. I would say it's definitely optional. If you have a licensing business that you're looking to be a licensing agent, then you definitely are going to want to sell your services, and having a website is really the only way to do that. So if you're just an inventor with a product or multiple products you're looking to license, it's not as necessary. So just keep that in mind. Some website design websites are GoDaddy. web.com, sitebuilder.com, wix.com, site123, and Hibu. So check them out. I personally have only used GoDaddy for websites, and I built many websites through GoDaddy, and it's fairly simple. It's basically drag and drop, and most website builders are very simple these days. You don't have to know HTML or coding or anything like that to build a website these days. Hosting. So hosting is how your website gets online. Again, I use GoDaddy, but there's other options that you can use. Feel free to do your research and find out which one works best for you. You're going to be charged a monthly fee for hosting, and so they all have different fees and different criteria, so check them out. Alright, so when it comes time to building your network, LinkedIn is probably the most important part of building that network. Facebook is more for personal and friend stuff. It's okay to have a Facebook page for your product design, product development company, but LinkedIn is for businesses, and it's more important than Facebook in my opinion when it comes to business stuff. So what you want to be able to do is connect with all the people in your industry. You want to build your network as large and quick as possible. The larger the network you have, the more beneficial you have when connecting to people. So LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, people in your network are called connections, and your network is made up of first, second, and third degree connections and fellow members in your LinkedIn groups. So what is a first degree connection? So people you've directly connected to because you've accepted their invitation to connect, or they've accepted your invitation. So with first degree connections, you can connect to them by sending them a message. So this would get you access to anybody in the world, and you could directly send them a message through LinkedIn if they're a first degree connection. So they just have to accept your connection request, or vice versa. Like I said, you accept theirs. Second degree is people who are connected to your first degree connections. And with that, you can send them invitations by clicking connect, or you can contact them through InMail or introductions. So InMail is a paid portion of LinkedIn. You can become a premium member of LinkedIn, and you'll get a certain amount of InMails per month. And with an InMail, you can connect with almost anybody. So it's basically you're paying to contact someone. And introductions is you can ask someone that's a first degree in your network. If they're connected to someone else that you want to be connected to, you can message them and ask them to introduce you. So there's a way to introduce people through LinkedIn. I don't use that service too often, but I have used it in the past, and it works well. Third degree. So a third degree person is someone that is connected to your second degree. All right. So someone that's a second degree for you, someone that they're connected with is a third degree. And there's not too much you can do with third degrees. Sometimes you can InMail them, I believe. But you want to get people into your first degree. That's the goal. Getting as many first degree connections in your category of your product, the businesses that you work with. So how to set up your profile. So having a good profile is important on LinkedIn. It shows that you're professional, and it shows what you do. So as you can see in my profile, I have a background picture of a prototype of my 3D liquid art, so my product, or Art Splash. So it's just a cool image. You could have, you can really have anything for your background. You could have a scenic picture. You could have whatever. Don't put a picture of your product if your product's not out there, obviously, because you don't want to make public disclosure. But you could just have any background, nice clean picture, something that gets attraction. Profile picture, have a nice headshot profile picture. Don't do a selfie. Try to just have a professional picture for your background, for your profile picture. The headline. So the headline is basically what you do. So the one question I get from a lot of inventors is, should I put product developer? A lot of people have a full-time job in addition to product licensing. So their LinkedIn account might be set up for their full-time job, and that's fine. You can put whatever your full-time job is, and you can put /product developer. It's okay. It's not a big deal. As long as you have, I recommend you have product developer on there somewhere, so it shows that that's also something that you do. And the summary. The summary is important because it talks about you. Typically, I would recommend doing this in third person. So you're not going to use I. You're going to be using the summary as if someone was talking about you. Okay, so that's how I'd set up the profile. So how to build your network of connections. So this is what I was talking about. This is very important to build a large network of relative people. So what you want to do is you want to first start off by connecting with industry experts. So anyone that's in your industry, your category of your product, you want to connect with those experts. Secondly, you want to connect with other inventors and product developers, like-minded individuals. Third, connect with companies that sell products in your product category. So if you're in the toy category, you're going to connect with all the toy companies. Then you're going to connect with the employees of those companies. So there is when you search a company on LinkedIn, you'll actually see a link that says 500 employees of whatever company. And you can actually click on it and it'll give you a whole list of the employees that work for that company. You can then just start connecting with those employees, I recommend. So you want to connect also with key people in the companies that you're trying to submit ideas to. So just what I was saying, click on that link for the employees and start connecting. Connect with people you may know that LinkedIn populates for you. So what LinkedIn's going to do is when you start getting connections, it's going to auto-populate people that they think you may know in addition to the people you're connected to. And so kind of requests. And so what you'll want to do is go through those and find people that do have things in common with you and start connecting with them. So here's what my screen looks like. So in my account, you're going to see that search bar, and that's where you're going to search for companies or people. And this is all in the My Network. So on the top right, you can see where I circled My Network. If you click on My Network, this is where you'll be able to connect with people. In the search bar, like I said, you're going to search for companies or people. So build your connection. So that's how many connections you have. You'll want to build that as many as you can. And then the connect with people in your industry or with desired companies. So that's going to be a whole big list of people that they believe are a good connection for you. So they've got a specific algorithm that finds that and populates that. So you can just click through there. Like Harmony, she's a toy and product designer. So I would definitely want to connect with this person because they have some interests that are similar to mine. And so I want to build my network with like-minded people. So bigger network equals more connections. So remember, you can message any of your first-degree connections. So the more first-degree connections that you have, the more ability you have to connect with people and email them through connecting through an actual message on LinkedIn. And this becomes very important when you're trying to get a hold of specific people within a company, maybe the marketing manager or whoever's in charge of product submissions. Once you find out who is in charge of product submissions, hopefully you're already connected with them because you've done your homework and you've done your connecting before you've needed to actually connect to that person. And it should be a seamless process to where you can just send them a message asking if they accept product submissions and asking if they want to be able to accept your idea through your sell sheet. So now that you have all this information, basically what are you waiting for? You now have everything you need to get started in a licensing business. You can start with your entities, your business name, your domains, and start connecting through LinkedIn. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.